The path under our feet is not a path. It is a highway. For 70 years, cars and logging trucks and family station wagons drove this exact strip of pavement on a narrow ledge blasted into the face of a cliff, with a wall of rock above them and Lake Superior a long way straight down. Rocks fell on it. People died on roads like this. So engineers did something drastic. They took the highway and they put it inside the cliff. This is Silver Creek Cliff, on the north shore of Lake Superior in Lake County, Minnesota, about 3 miles up the shore from the town of Two Harbors. The wayside sits at the top of the bluff, and the trail we are on drops away along the cliff face toward the water. Below us and behind the rock, hidden completely, Highway 61 runs through a tunnel bored straight through the stone we are standing on. Look at the shape of what we are walking. It has the geometry of a road, not a footpath. A gentle, constant grade. A wide, sweeping curve calculated for a moving vehicle. A shoulder. This alignment was cut in 1923 and 1924, part of the original North Shore Scenic Highway, and it carried traffic until 1994. The stone guard posts and the gateways along the edge are the road remembering itself. Everything about this place is an engineering story wearing a landscape costume. To understand why the cliff is here at all, go back roughly 1.1 billion years. The middle of the North American continent began to tear open. Geologists call it the Mid-Continent Rift, a great arc of splitting crust that curves through what is now Lake Superior. The continent did not finish the job. It cracked. It bled molten rock for millions of years, and then it stopped. That failed tear is the reason this lake exists, and the reason this cliff exists. The rock beside the trail is dark, hard, and coarse. Put your hand on it, and you are touching the inside of that rift. Most of the North Shore is built from the North Shore volcanic group, the enormous pile of lava that poured out while the continent was pulling apart. Flow on flow on flow, stacked thousands of feet deep, then tilted gently down toward the lake. That tilt is why the shore rises in long ridges and drops in cliffs. Picture this coast without a lake and without a tree. Flat, black, steaming, fissures opening and closing, sheets of basalt spreading out and cooling, then another eruption burying the last. The lavas here include andesite and basalt, and at the north end of the tunnel the road cut still shows them clearly. This went on in pulses for millions of years. Almost nothing on Earth today looks like it. The whole North Shore is the cooled skin of that violence. Here is the detail most people get wrong, and it is worth getting right. Silver Creek Cliff itself is not a lava flow. It is a sill, magma that never reached the surface, that instead forced its way sideways between existing layers of rock and cooled slowly underground. The Silver Creek Cliff sill is roughly 200 feet thick, and because it cooled slowly, it grew coarse crystals. The rock is olivine diabase, tough, dense, and stubborn, which matters a great deal later. A sill is intrusion, not eruption. Molten rock finds a weakness between two beds and spreads out flat, a sheet of magma sandwiched underground, insulated on both sides. Slow cooling gives the minerals time to grow. Plagioclase, olivine, pyroxene, locking together into an interlocking mosaic that erosion struggles to break. Here the sequence is legible in the road cut. Andesite lava first, then the diabase pushing in, then later faulting that ground and altered the rock along a pale seam. And that is why there is a cliff here rather than a gentle slope. The diabase is harder than what surrounds it. Ice sheets and waves and a billion years of weather took the softer rock away and left this sheet of stubborn intrusion standing over the water. Every cliff on this shore is essentially a piece of rock that refused to leave. Silver Creek Cliff is one of the biggest of them, rising directly out of the lake. The lava carried gas, and gas made bubbles, and the bubbles left cavities. Over the ages, groundwater filled those cavities with banded layers of silica. That is the origin of the Lake Superior agate, Minnesota's state gemstone, weathered out of these ancient flows and scattered by glaciers across the region. The harbor at Two Harbors is called Agate Bay for a reason. A billion-year-old bubble, patiently filled, is now a stone you can pick up on a beach. And now the lake. Superior is the largest freshwater lake on Earth by surface area, roughly 31,700 square miles. It goes down more than 1,300 feet at its deepest. It holds around 10% of the planet's fresh surface water. It is cold and it stays cold, and it is old enough and deep enough to make its own weather. Everything about this shoreline, the climate, the trees, the seasons, is negotiated with that water. The lake sits in the scar of the rift. The crust here sagged under all that erupted rock, and later the ice sheets gouged and deepened the trough that was already there. So the shape of Superior is a collaboration between fire and ice, a billion years apart. When the wind runs the length of it, it arrives at this cliff with hundreds of miles of open water behind it, and the rock takes the hit. The last glaciers were here astonishingly recently in geological terms. Ice more than a mile thick sat on this country, scraped it, polished it, and dragged rock south. Then it melted back. As the ice retreated from the Superior Basin, meltwater pooled between the shrinking ice front and the higher ground to the south and west, and it had nowhere to drain to the east, because the east was still under ice. So imagine standing here roughly 11,000 years ago. No forest, bare, scoured, cold rock. A wall of dirty ice somewhere out over the water, calving into a lake that is not yet Superior. Gravel and boulders raining out of the ice. Braided gray meltwater rivers everywhere. The landscape we walk today, the soils, the streams, the beaches, is all the tidied up aftermath of that. That trapped meltwater is called Glacial Lake Duluth, and it stood far higher than the lake we see now. Its old shorelines have been mapped along the North Shore roughly 500 feet above the modern water, which means the surface of that lake would have been somewhere above our heads, and this cliff top was a beach. The water eventually found lower outlets, dropped, and left those abandoned strand lines stranded on the hillsides. Once you know they are there, you can read them. Faint terraces, benches of rounded cobbles, level lines on the slopes where a vanished sea once lapped. Whole highways and towns on this shore sit on those old lake flats. Superior today is the shrunken survivor of a much larger, colder, ice-dammed body of water, and its retreat is measured in a few thousand years, not millions. Geologically speaking, this coastline is brand new. This is Anishinaabe homeland, and Lake Superior has a name much older than Superior. In Ojibwe, it is Gichigami, the Great Sea. The Ojibwe are here now, not only in the past tense. Their bands on the shore include Grand Portage, Fond du Lac, and Bois Forte, and their relationship with this coast, its fish, its wild rice, its maple sugar, its water, is continuous and current, not a chapter that closed. This shore was traveled long before there was any road. Birchbark canoes moved along it, hugging the coast because the open lake is lethal, wading out weather in the lee of headlands exactly like this one. A cliff like Silver Creek was a landmark and a hazard at once. The rhythm of the North Shore, hug the shore, watch the sky, run for shelter, is thousands of years old and has not really changed. For most of human history here, the lake was the highway and the land was the obstacle. Water carried people, goods, and news. The rocky shore, the swamps, the ridges behind us, all of that was difficult ground. It is worth remembering that when we look at the pavement under our feet, building a road along this coast was an argument with the landscape that people only began to win about a century ago. Then came the fur trade, and with it, European and Canadian traders working the Superior route. Beaver pelts went east. Manufactured goods came west. By the middle of the 19th century, the economics had turned. Fur was declining, debts were mounting, and a new hunger had arrived from the east. Not fur. Minerals and timber, copper, iron, and white pine, all of it sitting on land that the United States did not own. That hunger is what turned this coast into a legal problem. Prospectors wanted the rock. Lumber companies wanted the pine. The federal government wanted the whole Arrowhead, this northeastern corner of Minnesota, and it wanted it in writing. What follows is not an adventure story. It is a treaty story, and it is the reason the map of this shore looks the way it does today. In 1854, at La Pointe on Madeline Island, Ojibwe leaders signed a treaty that ceded roughly 5.5 million acres, including this shoreline, to the United States. It established the Grand Portage and Fond du Lac reservations. And critically, the Ojibwe retained the right to hunt, fish, and gather across the ceded territory. That was not a courtesy. It was a condition, and it was written into the document. Those rights did not lapse. They are exercised today, and they are administered by the 1854 Treaty Authority on behalf of the Bois Forte and Grand Portage bands. Every acre we can see from this cliff sits inside the 1854 ceded territory. The state of Minnesota and the bands manage its fish and its game together, under a document signed before the first iron ore ever left this shore. That is living law, not history. And the iron came fast. On the 31st of July, 1884, a train hauled the first load of ore down from the Soudan mine on the Vermilion Range to a harbor called Agate Bay on the Duluth and Iron Range Railroad. By the end of that year, the line had moved something like 62,000 tons. Agate Bay grew into 2 harbors, and Minnesota's iron century had begun. Look southwest along the coast, and you are looking at the direction that ore went. The ore docks at 2 harbors are still there, enormous timber and steel spines reaching out into the water so that gravity can pour rock into the hold of a ship. This was not a quiet fishing coast. It was an industrial coast, and the highway that eventually threaded along these cliffs was built to serve a working shore. Which brings us back to the pavement. In 1923 and 1924, crews blasted a shelf into the face of Silver Creek Cliff, about 125 feet above the surface of Lake Superior, and laid a road on it. No tunnel, no shelter, just a bench of rock chiseled out of a vertical wall, with the drop on one side and the overhang on the other. It was an audacious and slightly reckless piece of engineering. Stand here and imagine meeting a loaded logging truck coming the other way. The road was narrow, steep in places, and curved so that you could not see far ahead. Between the driver and a long fall to the water, there was often little more than a low stone parapet. In winter it iced. In spring it shed rock. Drivers loved the view and told everyone about it. Highway engineers, increasingly, did not love anything else about this road. It worked, though, in one way. The road opened the North Shore to the automobile, and the automobile invented North Shore tourism. Resorts, cabins, waysides, and lookouts followed the pavement north. Today, the route from 2 harbors to Grand Portage is a designated all-American road, the North Shore Scenic Drive. A century ago, it was simply the astonishing new fact that you could drive to Lake Superior and stop wherever you liked. But the cliff never accepted the arrangement. Water got into the joints of the diabase, froze, expanded, and levered the rock apart. Freeze and thaw winter after winter. Blocks let go and came down onto the roadway. The rock foundations under the shelf loosened. Maintenance crews cleared debris, scaled loose stone, and patched the ledge. The frequency of the falls increased. Eventually, the Minnesota Department of Transportation had to decide what to do about a highway that the mountain was demolishing. Look straight up at what they were dealing with. 200 feet of fractured diabase hanging over a public road. You can armor a slope. You can bolt it, mesh it, catch the falling rock in a ditch. On a face this size, above a road this exposed, none of that is a permanent answer. So MN. Made the more radical choice. Stop fighting the cliff. Go through it. Work began in August 1991 and finished in July 1994. Roughly 3 years of drilling and controlled blasting, round after round, advancing into the Sill. Crews removed on the order of 500,000 cubic yards of rock. The finished bore runs about 1,300 feet through the cliff, and the project cost in the region of $16 million. Loose rock came down in places it was not supposed to. Nobody was seriously hurt. And that is the strange thing about standing here. Highway 61 is directly beneath us and it is completely invisible. The traffic is inside the cliff, running through the diabase in the dark, while the old road it replaced lies open to the sky and carries nothing but walkers and cyclists. The Lafayette Bluff Tunnel a little further up the shore was cut in the same era. 2 cliffs, 2 holes, 1 idea. When the tunnel opened, the abandoned ledge could have been erased. Instead, it became trail. This half-mile of old highway is now part of the Gichigami State Trail, a paved, non-motorized route that is planned to run some 86 miles from 2 harbors to Grand Marais, with over 30 miles already built. A highway that was too dangerous to drive turned out to be a nearly perfect place to walk. And in early October, this is where you want to be. As the days shorten, the trees stop making chlorophyll, and the yellows and oranges that were always in the leaf are finally uncovered, while cool nights push the maples into producing the red pigments. On the inland ridges, the sugar maples burn first, often peaking from late September, and the birch and aspen along the cold shoreline follow a week or 2 behind. Autumn also fills the sky. Raptors migrating south refuse to cross this much open water because the lake gives them no rising thermals to soar on. So they turn and follow the shoreline and it funnels them, tens of thousands of them, past Hawk Ridge above Duluth, where an average season counts well over 60,000 birds. Broad-winged hawks stream through in September. The same geology that shaped this coast shapes their route. So this is the layered thing we walked, a rift that failed, a sheet of magma that refused to erode, a lake dammed by ice, a homeland with rights still in force, an ore road, a scenic drive, a cliff that kept dropping stones on it, and a tunnel bored clean through the whole argument. Now it is quiet and gold and yours to walk. Thank you for watching. Follow for more trails of the world.